Okay. My video cut, but we're back. So the rumor in questions had been stolen nearly a quarter century ago from Gertrude's cousins on the Lockwood side of their family, and had only been recently been discovered at a bizarre murder scene on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. The painting, which measured only a foot and a half high, had already been an invaluable masterpiece. But then when you add notary into the mix, art heist, murder, domestic terrorism, the girl at the piano was considered one of the most valuable workers of art in the entire world. Now that it had finally been recovered, Gertrude's cousin Wayne felt that the painting should not languish in any dingy parlour at Lockwood Manor, but rather travel the world and be enjoyed by thousands if not millions. Um, the stolen farmer was about to start making the rounds of museums around the world with its opening one-month exhibition right here in Newport, Rhode Island. Getting the farmer first had been an immense coup. The tickets for today's luncheon had started at $50,000 per person. Damn, that's a lot of money. Not that the money mattered, not truly. The Payne family was worth billions, but philanthropy amongst the well-to had always been about social climbing, while perhaps a smidgen of both thrown into the mix. It was an excuse to socialize and throw a party, because to be this obscenely wealthy and simply have a party would be too gauche, too tasteless, too showy. To assure you, you attacked a charity as cover, if you will. It will all pish. Gertrude knew the wealthy in this room could have just written a check to support the Payne charity underserved youth. None would ever miss the money. Not only does anyone give until it hurts, they don't give until they feel it in the slightest. Gertrude understood that no one voluntarily shrinks or lessens their lot. Oh sure, we may all claim to want better for those less fortunate than ourselves. We may even mean it, but we all want that without any kind of sacrifice on our part. That's true. So, for that being true, I'm going to go ahead and highlight it because that's very true. And yeah, it's just a good thing to look at. So, we finished highlighting, and then I tried to not really let the tab stick out as much. Okay, that's perfect. Where was I? Oh, right here. Okay. This Gertrude has Sturmis years ago was why the rich could seem so awful. Hayden continued, the Payne Foundation's program of the underserved have helped tens of thousands of needy children since our patron Saint Benedict Payne created the family's first orphanage for boys in 1938. He gestured toward the large oil portrait of Bennett Payne. Ah, the wonderful, revered Uncle Bernard. Revered Uncle Bernard, Gertrude thought. Few knew that Uncle Bennet had been a pedophile in the days before such a word seemed to exist. Generous. Bennet chose to work with poor youth for one simple reason: it gave him unfettered. I don't know if I'm saying all these words right, but I'm trying here, as you can tell. Unfettered access to them. Uncle Bennet kept his predilections a secret, of course, but like most human beings, he also justified his actions. He convinced himself that in some he was doing good. These children, especially the extremely poor, would have died without the pain's intervention. Mm, I don't think that's true because without the pain's intervention, people can survive. We don't really need anything at all. We don't need anything. We don't need money. We still have a way to work and to earn that money, you know? Like if there was an apocalypse and there was nothing at all, like no beds, no mattresses, nothing, and we just had clothes on, we were to use our clothes, cut it up to things, do something with it, and then make money out of it, you know? Like people are dumb sometimes, honestly. I'm like, I can't. Bennett fed them, clothed them, educated them, and wasn't sex an act that pleased both participants? What was the crime here? Uncle Bennett traveled the world, often like with minded missionaries, so he could have sex. Now they correctly called it rape, didn't they? With a wide variety of children. For those wondering about karma, for those wondering whether Bennett Payne, who never knew hunger or thirst or discomfort, who never worked a real job, or knew anything but great wealth, eventually paid for his misdeeds, the answer, alas, is no. Uncle Bennet died of natural causes in his sleep at the ripe old age of 93. He was he was never found out. To this day, his portrait hangs in every Payne Foundation charitable institute. The irony here is that the Payne Foundation now does a fair amount of good. What started as a vehicle for Uncle Bennet to rape children now truly helps those less fortunate. So how do you reconcile that? Gertrude knew so many causes that started with the best of intentions before devolving into something awful and corrupt. Eric Hofer once said, "Every great cause begins as a movement, becomes a business, and eventually degenerates into a racket." So true, but what happens when it works the other way around? I'm gonna highlight um that little quote. You know what's truly funny? And I was just telling my mom about this, that like nowadays in my generation, you know, like those little boys, not just boys, the teenagers and stuff, they're doing something like, let's say, mm, let's say AirPods, right? AirPods, when AirPods came out, they weren't really known until like people started using them more and talking about them more. And so that's when it became a trend for people to buy it. You know? That's what doesn't make sense. And it's like not, it's funny, but it's not funny. It's like, I don't know. Like I was just telling my mom that, what's it called? that like older people, not older people like 50 something years old, but like older than me, like 22, barely getting out of the teenager years. What's it called? They see people with butterfly tattoos and they're like, okay, that's cute, that's cute. And all of a sudden, they go to the tattoo shop, they want to get a butterfly tattoo, they get it, and like, they just get it because it's a trend. It's going around through everybody, and so they see that there's butterflies in people's arms, right? Like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, and then when people ask them, oh, like, what's the meaning behind your butterfly tattoo? They're like, they kind of wait for a moment to think, and they're like, so the butterflies mean to like heal myself, let go of stuff, because butterflies let go, they fly away. Um, that's all they can say. They truly don't have a meaning to it, or they just use it as a cover up or whatever the case may be. But like, what? What are we doing nowadays? Like everything seems to be a trend. And then when that trend stops, like you have to come up with something new because people aren't going to support you like that. Like you're not going to have the same people as you did when it was trending back then. You know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't make sense. Like it's so funny but so like fake at the same time. Like people are talking about, oh, like I used to have like friends that were fake and stuff like that. I'm like, come on now, like look at you. That follows the quote because like every great thing begins as a movement, right? Because it becomes a trend. People start seeing what you're like what you came out with, like your little product or whatever, and people are starting to wear it. So it becomes a business. Eventually, it degrades into a racket. So yeah, it degrades into a racket where you can just throw with a tennis ball and just throw it, and completely forget about it. Like what? So true. But what happens when it works the other way around? All men Gertrude believed tended to have some sociopathic qualities coupled with a wonderful ability to self-justify and behavior. Yes, she was generalizing, and yes, from the back of the room, she is sure someone is yelling, not all men. But close to her, her father had been an alcoholic who beat her mother and demanded obedience. He justified it via biblical verses. Gertrude's own husband, George, had been a serial, a serial. I don't know how to say that word. I don't know how to say that word. Don't come for me. Not a serial killer, but a serial pathfinder. He justified it via the scientific argument that monogamy was unnatural, and Uncle Bennet, well, that had been covered up. He wasn't the only one in the family with that particular predilection. Gertrude had only one son, Hayden's father, Wade, who in her mind was the exception that provided the rule, but perhaps she'd seen her son through mommy's glasses. As today youth like to call it, Wade had also died at the age of 31. 31 is so young. In a private plane crash with Hayden's mother as they headed to Villa or to Vile on a sky trip. Perhaps before whatever social pathy ran in his loins could reveal itself. The death had crushed her. The orphanage Hayden was only 4 years old at the time. It was left to Gertrude to raise Hayden, and she had done a poor job. She had not looked out for him, and she had stuffed, and he had suffered from it, or suffered for it. Her phone buzzed. Gertrude found modern technology fascinating, of course, like too many things in the present day. It led to obsessions, but the idea that you could communicate with anyone at the time, or see pages from all the libraries in all the world, with a small device she kept in her handbag. How do people not appreciate such things? So once again, Hayden finished up. I want to thank you all for supporting this wonderful cause. We will visit the stolen Vermi in 15 minutes. Enjoy your dessert. As Hayden smiled and waved, Gertrude sneaked a glance at her phone. When she read the text message, her heart dropped. Hayden wended his way back to her table when he saw her face. He said, "Are you okay, Pixie?" She put a hand to the table to steady herself. "Walk with me," she said. "But take my arm, please, now." "Of course, Pixie." They both kept the smiles on their faces as they made their way out of the grand ballroom. One wall from the ballroom was mirrored. Gertrude spotted herself right before they exited, and wondered who that old woman in the mirror was. Was it Pixie? She handed Hayden the phone. Her eyes widened as he read it. Escaped, so it seems. Gertrude, I believe, that text message was of David. Um, Gertrude looked toward the door opening. Stefano, the family's longtime security head, was always in sight. He met her eye, and she gave him a head tilt that indicated she would need to talk later. Stefano nodded back and kept his distance. "Maybe it's a sign," Aiden said. She turned her attention back to her grandson. "A sign? I don't mean strictly in a religious way, though maybe that too. More like an opportunity. He could be so foolish." "It's not an opportunity, Hayden," she said through clenched teeth. "They'll probably catch him within a day. We should help him." "Should we help him?" Gertrude just stared at her grandson until he turned away. Then she said, "I think we should leave now." He gestured back toward the ballroom. "But Pixie, the pit only want to see the vermin," she said. "They don't care whether we are here or not. Where is Theo?" "He wanted to see the painting." She passed the two security guards and entered what had once been the family music room, where the Vermeer now hung. A young boy stood in front of it, his back turned toward her. "Theo," she said to the boy, "are you ready to go?" "Yes, Pixie," Theo said, "I'm ready." Within the 8-year-old turned toward her. Gertrude's gaze couldn't help but land on a telltale port stain on the boy's cheek. She swallowed hard and stuck her hand out for him to take. "Come along, then." Yo! Theo! Theo. He's giving me hope that he is Matthew. Hopefully he is Matthew. Because, oh my god. I'm so excited now. I'm like, being a little delulu. Maybe. I mean, it hasn't shown any signs that Theo is Matthew. They just, maybe, well, in my head, it is, I feel like it is Matthew. Well, it might be, just maybe because they haven't said anything about Matthew being in or named as Theo now. So, but I'm gonna finish off right there. That's pretty much it. I hope you guys like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time. Period. Ew, cringy. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.